From using injuries as an attempt to win fans back to being too arrogant, there are some golfers that fans just can't seem to like. Here are some of the golfers that fans love to hate, starting with Tiger Woods. Now, just because you're considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest golfer of all time, doesn't mean people are going to love you. Sure, we all accept the fact that he's a phenomenal player and all, but his personality makes it super hard for golf fans to like him. One of the reasons some people don't like his is, in fact, that it's called the greatest in gold. Yet, he still hasn't been able to beat Jack Nicklaus's record of major wins. I mean, this one isn't really his fault, but that doesn't really matter. Another big reason why golf fans seem to dislike the golfer is the fact that, according to them, throughout his recent career, he has used injuries as some way to gain back the love and support that he used to have when he started out. According to these golf fans, the injuries he talks about so much were not even real or that big of a deal. And although that's very debatable, there's unfortunately some truth to it all. And not to mention how he's had his fair share or maybe more of altercations with players, fans, and the press. Having altercations with other fans is understandable.
You're just getting paid a lot of money up front and playing a few events and playing 54 holes. They're trying to
Almost every person in the sports world has had them, but when it comes to fans, that's just unacceptable. But there are a lot more reasons why golf fans love to hate this pro golfer. Here are some other reasons why people hate him. Well, I'm going to try and not get too critical of him and just talk about what the fans feel about him. And according to a lot of them, Tiger Woods got a bit ahead of himself. Now, obviously, with the amount of success and hype he's gotten in his career, that's kind of understandable, but definitely not excusable, you know? And even outside the golf course, his personality isn't exactly the best. People who loved the player for a really long time realized that maybe he wasn't as good as they thought he was, when it comes to anything other than golf, that is. And just like that, in a matter of months, the player went from being one of the most famous and loved golfers to one of the most widely disliked, from his infidelity controversy, which resulted in the ending of his marriage, to accusations of using performance-enhancing drugs on the golf course. There's just too much about this player that can justify people's dislike of him. Just like this next pro golfer, Patrick Reed. Okay, so there's a lot going on with this player, and I don't even know where to start. No one likes a cocky player. It's one of those things that can make people hate you.
But then, going on 17, I felt like I hit a perfect drive. Looking at the line I was looking at, if anything, I was hoping it might have been just a hair more right because I hit it so solid that I was worried it might go just through.
Even if you're the best in your game. And boy, is Patrick Reed cocky. Now, we get how confidence is a very important thing in any sport, but there's a fine line between cocky and confident, and every time Reed plays, he always manages to cross the line, and fans of the sport hate him for it, not to mention that he doesn't exactly treat fans and the crowd at games in the best way. Like that one time at the 2019 President's Cup, when he lashed out at a fan who called him a cheater, and I'll get to the cheating allegations too in a bit, but at this event, he was also seen making inappropriate hand gestures towards fans who were criticizing him from the crowd. There's a lot of ways to deal with criticism, and this was not it, Reed. Not to mention, those fans weren't the only ones who think Reed bends the rules to suit his goals more. That's one thing almost everyone agrees with, and that agreement comes with a lot of hatred towards the player, obviously.
It was an unfortunate break there, but at the end of the day, I felt like I rebounded really well. Whenever I got in trouble there, made double on 8, I bounced back with 2 birdies, and then same thing there on 17, I bogey 17, I'm able to bounce back on the last. So, yeah.
And no one's saying that Reed is a bad player. He's great, but we just can't ignore some of his red flags, you know? Here's some more reasons why he gets so much hate. Okay, so I know this one is pretty controversial to talk about, but I have to talk about it. I'm talking about the time he was caught on camera shoveling sand. Yep, this happened at the 2019 Waste Management Phoenix Open, where Reed was caught on camera shoveling sand away from his ball to help with a shot. And when he was caught, he just said that he had no intention intention of doing it and didn't know about it until he saw the reply. A lot of golf fans thought that he was just lying after he had gotten caught cheating in the game, something that fans think is very common for Patrick Reed. And going back to the whole thing where fans think he's super cocky, remember the time when he declared himself to be one of the top 5 players? Yep, I'm talking about the 2014 WGC Cadillac Championship, where he not only called himself one of the best, but also trash-talked a lot of other players, who quite frankly are a lot better than him. I could go on and on about so many reasons why fans of the sport hate him.
Incident with the camera person on the European tour. Here we are a year later, he's doing this.
But that would take all day, and I need to tell you about why golf fans hate Brooks Koepka. Now, if you thought Patrick Reed was cocky, a lot of fans think he's nothing compared to Brooks Koepka. Golf fans think that this golfer is just so full of himself, and it really shows. I mean, whenever some player says they're the best, it always comes off as cocky. Like that's not for the player to decide.
But yeah, I don't know what he shot. I think he shot 3 under. But yeah, I mean, he's been playing pretty solid. He's been gaining a little more confidence. I'm proud of him, so that's all that matters.
That's for the people to decide. And in Koepka's case, people have decided to dislike him. And I don't mean to say that he's a bad player. That would just be a lie. But every time he starts talking to reporters after a game, it gets harder for his fans to like him. He just gives off overconfident vibes, and no one likes that. And not to mention what he said when he lost weight for the ESPN cover back in 2019. He just made it seem like he was somehow better than other players, and that they just weren't dedicated enough to lose weight for a cover. Or the time when he made comments about the COVID vaccine back in 2020.
Yeah, I donated through my foundation to the Palm Beach County and Martin County Foundation Community Fund. So hopefully, this money's going to help everybody in Palm Beach County and Martin County to be able to...
Saying that he was not scared of the pandemic. There's just way too many reasons for fans to hate Koepka, just like they love to hate Phil Mickelson. It's not as simple as the other players that I talked about, because golf fans either absolutely love Phil or hate him more than any other player in the sport. But today, I'm going to tell you about reasons people love to hate him. And one of the biggest reasons behind that hate is his attitude. People just get a weird, rude attitude from the player. It's definitely noticeable when you talk to him. Another moment that made golf fans hate the player was the time when he criticized team captain Tom Watson at the Ryder Cup back in 2014. A lot of people thought his comments were very inappropriate and disrespectful to the captain, and he lost a good handful of fans that day. Just like the time when he was accused of insider trading back in 2014. He was accused of making deals and trades about insider information with gambler William Walters. Although he didn't face anything serious, he did agree to pay back everything that he'd made from it, but that didn't help him gain any fans. In fact, more people ended up hating him for it. Well, that was all about some of the golfers that fans love to hate.